What is going on, people? You are on the lifeboat. I am Captain Calhoun speaking. We're going to talk about a little bit of self-care today. Welcome in. Good to see all of you. Nesquick, Naomi Hales, Tommy Bird, Blessed to Crochet, Deaudre Gore, Barbara White, Rocket Queen, Jane Aldrich, and Lavender Bridges. Good to see all of you. Welcome in. Yeah, yesterday I said at the beginning that I didn't want to talk about routines because mine was not doing too well. Well, I immediately thought, this is probably the best time to talk about. So we're going to do that today. Yeah, self-care is very important, especially for those with some neurodivergence. I have ADHD. I may have some other things, but I'm not going to go looking for problems with myself, right? But because I have to try extra hard to stay focused, to get things done that I want done. If I want to see a reality, I have to work really hard to create it because my brain sometimes is not my friend. Sometimes it's my enemy. So self-care becomes very important. Fueling my body, giving it the rest that I need, getting some exercise, right? Going out and getting sun on my skin. There is a long list of things that are pretty mundane and sound pretty simple, but change the whole game for people like me. And I think we've got quite a few neurospicers on the crew, so this should hit home pretty well. Made it on time today, Tommy Bird. What is going on? Well, we are trying the new time of 9 a.m. Pacific, so maybe that's helpful for you. Today's the third day in a row we're doing 9 a.m. I'm hoping I really like 9 a.m., so I'm hoping it works well. Shauna B, good morning. Wishing everyone wellness and peace today. Well, thank you for that. That's a wonderful sentiment. What is it, Thursday? Yeah, today should be a good day. There's a Halloween party happening my friends are doing this weekend on Saturday. I think I'm going to not go. I've been feeling like I need to do some self-care and needed to go out and get some sun, but I also have been feeling like I need to be alone. So I don't know how social I'll be this weekend, but we are going to take care of my spicy brain. That's for sure. And, I've already done a little bit of that. I got up early today after getting some sleep, and I had cheesy eggs and sausage, one of my favorites. So I'm already fed. I've got the coffee going. That's two birds, one stone right there. Dale Cox, good morning. Wharton Fissel, hello, hello. Good morning, good morning. Welcome in, guys. I hope this message finds you all well. Yeah, I noticed that when I don't have a consistent bedtime because of lack of self-discipline, in my case, that's what causes it, or when I don't work out, I don't exercise for multiple days in a row, or when I'm only having 2 meals a day, or I'm not having consistent meals in some way, shape, or form, that everything becomes more difficult. I become a grumpy Gary. I definitely start getting frustrated, and maybe I'll even snap at my friends and loved ones. I'll make decisions that are not well thought out, and I'll even think that they're well thought out because I will spend time thinking about them. But the machine that's doing the thinking, right, my brain, doesn't have the proper fuel that it needs, so it can't process the information properly, even though I think that I am. And I end up making poor decisions. I end up doing things that I regret, and I end up doing things that will haunt me for quite some time, that I have to end up going back and apologizing for, going back and redoing, or just doing better moving forward. Regardless, if I don't feed this beast what it needs, the neurospice definitely betrays me, I have to say. Dale Cox says, get that spicy brain going. Yeah, getting it fired up this morning. I'll tell you what, this coffee is fantastic, and my breakfast was delicious. What are you up to this morning, Dale? Eating some peppers today? Wharton Fissel's having a coffee, a cig, and taking the pup outside. I tell you what, there is nothing quite like, I'm going to glorify it for just a second. There's nothing quite like nicotine and caffeine in the morning with the morning sunshine. I don't know what it is, but I think that part of the addiction to nicotine for me is definitely those moments of nostalgia, right? Waking up with it. One of the things that makes it so difficult for me to quit, I think. I'm not smoking, but I am still doing the vape, so full disclosure. Tommy Bird says, yes, Banks, usually when we look for trouble, any trouble with ourselves or otherwise, it's pretty easy to find. And also your 9 a.m. is my noon. Well, that is something, that's for sure. Are you having lunch? Is it lunchtime? Dirty Mouse, good morning. You know, I'm always eating peppers, says Dale. Yeah, that's right. I'd be down to do some tincture. I've eaten, but let's get to the back end of the show. So I'm not burning the whole time, huh? Crushik559, what up? Good to see you, man. You and me both, Spanks. Yeah, I used to really enjoy it after meals as well. For some reason, right after a meal, right when I get up, right when I go to bed, we're big time. Flick Fox, good morning. Deaudre Gore rations coffee so that it will help with a migraine. Interesting. I didn't know that caffeine would do that. I do know that Coca-Cola or the syrup in it, cola syrup, is good for upset stomachs. When I was a kid, I would get motion sickness really bad. One of the side effects of the medication I was on. And Coca-Cola would fix it 50% of the time. Lester Crochet, Captain, what was your decision on the hike? I hope you listen to yourself and your instinct. I chose to tell them I'm not feeling it. And he's a good friend of mine, so I was able to be vulnerable and tell him what's going on. So maybe I changed my mind later. That's totally fine. But as of now, I'm not going on the hike. And the hike will be Tuesday. And this Halloween party thing's on Saturday. So I don't think I'm going to go to either. I really want to get my stuff in order here. I would like to feel better. I'd like to feel more productive. I'm sure that my morning shows suffer when I'm not taking care of myself as well, So I'd like to make sure everything's buttoned up. Yeah, Dirty Mouse, I've experienced this as well. Sometimes I'll smell a cigarette and be like, I missed that. Maybe I'll have one. And then I'll have a couple drags and it's absolutely disgusting, which I'm very grateful for. Because, that wasn't always how I felt. I used to love the taste and the smell, and, I couldn't get away from it. But the smell is good for nostalgia these days. The smell of cigarettes on clothes is not terrible. But I will say, if my whole wardrobe smelled like it, it would bother me, right? Eat a Reaper for me now. That's my guy right there. All my ducks in a row. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome in. I'm fairly new, but have only lurked while I work. I totally need some routine for my spicy brain. Yeah, you and me both. I tell you what, if I can go to bed at relatively the same time and get up at relatively the same time, and it's worth mentioning, for some reason, I'm naturally opposed to a routine. Something about it, the idea of it feels like it's robbing me of my freedom, of my sovereignty. I'm going to do the same thing every day at the same time. That sounds like a drag, right? So I'm naturally opposed to something that benefits me largely, which is very interesting, very strange. So I have to actively remind myself why it's important and why it's helpful. And when I experience the rewards from having a steady routine, it's easier in those moments to consistently do it because I'm experiencing the rewards, right? But when I get away from my routine and I'm without those rewards, when I'm without the things that it affords me, it's harder to get back in. I guess what I'm trying to say is when I'm in a routine, it's easier to keep it going than to start a routine, right? Even if I've done this routine before, not being in it is a hurdle, right? So today, so far, so good. We're getting closer. I went to bed before 11 last night. It was pretty good. It's much better than what it has been. The goal is to get to bed before 10. And then I'll be up for hours at this point when I can do that. Caffeine is a mild vasoconstrictor and causes blood vessels to constrict. So it can stave off a migraine some of the time. Interesting. That is very, very interesting. Nicotine is also a vasoconstrictor. I don't know if y'all know. I've also heard that if prolonged nicotine use can harden your capillaries, which are the small veins that distribute blood. So your veins carry blood throughout your whole body. The capillaries are what give the blood to the areas of the body that require it, right? I've heard that. I don't want that in my future. So it's something that I think about when I'm puffing on my vape super hard. I definitely have acquired more sugar in my diet since quitting drinking. I tell you what, Shannon, your whole existence benefits from the routine. You know, you and me both, man. It's such a black and white difference, right? But I don't know, why do we oppose it so much naturally? I have to remind myself that even if I'm doing the same thing every day, I get to choose to do it right in the moment. I'm not losing my sovereignty. I'm just using my sovereignty to level myself up, right? It's something that I definitely need to remind myself of constantly. And if I did so more often, I probably wouldn't have such a hard time keeping the routine. I, I'm curious now. I wonder what's the longest that we've kept a routine going? I would probably take some thought for myself, but I would have to say probably not that long. Not not as long as I would like. Yeah, alcohol is full of sugar. My body definitely was without it when I quit. But yeah, so spicy brain routine. It's interesting. My brain allegedly doesn't work how other people's works, right? Not how it's supposed to work. My brain works uniquely in that I have ADHD, right? So my attention is all over the place, allegedly. I have a hyperactive component as well. And then they say that I can focus very, very well, but I must be very interested or excited about what's going on. But all of that aside, this is the struggle in my brain, right? So when I don't give it what it needs, all of these things are exacerbated. In fact, even when I'm excited about something and focusing on it decently well, if I haven't fed my body what it needs, my neurospicy brain what it needs, I will be focusing wrong, thinking about it wrong. And let me explain that. When I say wrong, I mean not how it should go. Things that I think are working out are not, right? So I'm not comprehending the information that's being fed to me. When I say being fed, whatever I'm doing, whether I'm playing a game, whether I'm making a show, having a conversation with a friend, no matter what the task is, the information that my brain is processing isn't being processed properly. So I end up getting this idea about what's going on that's not real. It's not actually what's going on. So then I end up over here in left field, which is not how I want to represent myself. And that can manifest itself in many ways, right? I can I can misrepresent myself very well, right? Or, you know, maybe I'm a little silly. Maybe I'm just a little stupid. It's a broad spectrum of things that can happen. But the point is that what I want to put out into the world, what I want, the way I want to carry myself, the things that I want to get done are not getting done, right? I'm not, what I'm trying to create is not being created, right? So I'm failing. And the way that I can fix this is literally just by taking care of myself a little bit better, right? Is just taking efforts to fuel my engine properly, to getting, again, super simple, mundane stuff, getting proper nutrition, right? Eating some meals, getting proper sleep, going out and getting some sun on my face, a little bit of exercise. I haven't been exercising at all, folks. I don't know if you can tell, but I can tell by the way that my brain's functioning, by the way that my thought processes go during the day, by what I spend my time doing even. It's interesting. I desire different things when I'm active and exercising than when I'm glued to the computer screen or just relaxing and not feeling very well. My brain desires different things. I find myself going to different places physically and mentally and even emotionally. Absolutely, Shannon. Shannon asks, you have a hyper component too, even as an adult? Absolutely. In fact, sometimes I wonder if I'm manic depressive. I don't think that I am. Um, I know they call it something different these days. I think they call it bipolar now, but sometimes I wonder because when I have that hyper component, which is not always, right? But when I do, I'm like, boom, I'm go 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 go. Reminds me of my dad a lot. My dad gets in these modes as well, where he's just going. Which in the moment it feels really good to be in that place, to be hyper, to be getting things done, to have the energy and the will to do what I want to do, because that's also not always the case, right? But then at other times I'll be really sad or just low energy, even if there's not a sad depressive component. Sometimes the hyper is not there at all. Sometimes I'm just a fly on the wall, and I just want to observe stuff. I don't want to be involved. It's very interesting. I think that I'm a complicated individual. Sometimes I also think about my astrology. Like they say that the Pisces is two fish or whatever. I don't know how much stock I should put into this stuff, but I definitely feel like there's two aspects of myself that kind of circle each other. And maybe that's because of bipolar. Maybe that's because of, some astral fish. Maybe that's because of my ADHD. But the fact of the matter is, I definitely feel like there's two different sides. You don't always get the same mic. Sometimes, I'm trying to be in and active, even though I don't feel that way at all. And other times, I'm so active that I feel like I should tone it down a little bit. Self-judgment all around. Arya Schleider, welcome in. Good to see you, good friend. Today's a good day, I agree. Although the leaf blower people are here. I went out there and watched one day, and he's literally going down the walkways with a leaf blower, blowing up dust. Like dust settles, dirt, dust, whatever it is, on the walkways everywhere. And he's just going in there with a leaf blower and blowing it around, which, I mean, it's not going to be piled up in little sediment piles anymore, but you aren't doing anything other than spreading it around. So, I mean, that guy's got a pretty cush job. They're paying him to do nothing. Literally, they're paying him to do something that's ineffective. I guess is worse than doing nothing. He's just out there spreading dirt around. What a guy. Bless his heart, You miss seeing my apartment when I was facing the other way? Well, when we do the art stream, pretty darn soon. I don't think that this corner is going to be sufficient. I can move the camera around, but this is comfortable for this show. You will end up seeing more of my apartment. Although it's also by design, Shannon. I have this diatomaceous earth everywhere, and it's the apartment's in a little bit of a sorry state while I'm dealing with the bugs. But I will say I'm seeing far less of them. I saw one right here earlier today, and I flung them that way and didn't think about it anymore. I don't see a whole lot of them. They are dying out for sure, which I'm pretty stoked about. Spanx, I sent you a message in Discord. I'll have to get on there. I don't get on there very often these days, so I'll get on there, and maybe after the show we can, if anybody wants to, we can hang out in the Discord server and chat it up, see what's going on in your guys' lives. But yeah, look, after the show, I'll get on there, REA, and we can message. I'm super happy I'm getting rid of the roaches too. That's going to be a huge boon for my mental spicy health as well. 100%. Like not feeling like there's bugs crawling on me all the time when there's not like wondering about the bugs in my food, all kinds of that stuff. It's mentally taxing. When you ask, Shannon, do you think the trip affected you? You mean as far as my routine goes? Every time I go and jostle my routine, every time I mix up my routine, it definitely suffers a little, 100%. But I think the trip was a W overall. I think it was a win overall for sure. Warren Fissel reminding me I need to wash my bed sheets as well. It's time to do some laundry. Auntie Robin got me a really cool hoodie. You guys want to see? Woo. Oh my gosh, I'm stepping on cords. Check this thing out. I gotta wash it. That's why I'm not wearing it. But I'm pretty stoked. I am pretty stoked. Waterman. I wonder if it's like water wicking or something. This is probably really good for hikes. It's really light. I like it. I like it a lot. I used to buy all kinds of gear like that when I was a roofer. For a brief stint, I spent roofing. Because you want to cover your skin when you have skin like me. I mean, regardless, you see, no matter what your skin tone is, you see roofers wearing long sleeves and hoodies, which, you're like, what the heck? You're really, really hot up there. Well, the sun directly hitting your skin all day long at that elevation is dangerous. You can get sick. In fact, I forget what it's called, but heat stroke? I don't know. I got sick. And because of that, I would keep getting sick. That's why I couldn't do that job anymore. But I would buy all kinds of clothes like that, even thinner than that even. But that one's pretty thin, just to cover my skin from the sun, but also not keep me too hot. It's good stuff. It would like absorb water too, so it would kind of keep you cool when the wind blew. It would be like a air conditioning on your body. It was really cool. Blessed Crochet is going live tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, talking about traditions. Sent me a message through Messenger. Well, thank you, Blessed. I'll have to go check that out. Rona Cooley, sunstroke. That's right. That's what it was. And apparently you're more susceptible to sunstroke once you get it. So that job wasn't long for Michael. Shannon Smith has fleas. Oh, no. The other tincture is a lot hotter. It must have been the concentration of more concentration of the stuff. That sounded so intelligent. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. But yeah, so long story short, these things that seem mundane, that seem super normal and regular and maybe not that important, happen to be vastly important. Whether I'm getting the sleep that I need, whether I'm putting the right food in my body, and also, it's not a matter of just putting calories in me. I need to put food in me that serves a purpose. Eating vegetables, eating grains, not eating just protein all the time, which is something I'm pretty good at. So a balanced diet does wonders as well. When I'm doing all of these things properly, I feel like Superman. And that just speaks to how much time I spend not doing them well, right? Because the difference is so vast. I get accustomed to not this machine not running right. When I say this machine, I mean my body and my brain. I trust you shaped an acceptable weekend, Ace Banks? Absolutely. I declined the party. I declined the hike. And I'm just going to focus on getting my stuff together, so that I can present myself properly. And, it's kind of a shame. I was really looking forward to the Halloween party. I was really looking forward to the great opportunity to meet more people, right? More people than I'll probably get to meet doing these other activities. But it's what I need. So I can always go to the Flow Jams on Thursday, which is today, if I really want to meet people. I'm more likely to meet people on my walk of life at the Flow Jam than at the party. That's for sure. It's been shaking on your paint shaker for the last 3 months. Interesting. Spanx, what would your costume have been? I was thinking about doing J-Rock from Trailer Park Boys. I have a flannel that I can just button at the top. I'll get like a little cane, and I'll go around talking about "no, I'm talking about," and "no, I'm saying," just "no, I'm saying" a lot, and then say, you count my "no, I'm sayings," taking a nonsensus kind of thing. That's pretty much what I was going for. I haven't watched that show in a long time. I used to do a really damn good J-Rock impression. So I probably would go back and watch like key J-Rock clips. And that was my plan for sure. I really want to do Roro Noah Zorro, the green-haired swordsman from the Straw Hat Pirate Crew. I really want to do that, but I feel like I don't have what I need for that, so less exciting, right? I have to build up to that. I need to get some swords, some green hair dye, maybe like a yellow jacket that I don't button up from like the Water 7 arc, something like that. Your daily superpowers with your wheatgrass. Interesting. I've heard good things about that. Other than the taste, I haven't heard that it tastes very good. I totally hear what you're saying here, Tommy. This is exactly how, what you're describing is how it feels for sure for me. Later, I'm like, what the hell have I done? What have I been up to? I spent all of that energy doing what? Sometimes it's good. Sometimes I get things done, but I often say things that I regret. I do things that I wish I had done differently or wish I'd not done at all. Comic Bird says my wife is bipolar and has to deal with manic depression, manic and depressive states. Unmedicated, it gets pretty severe, and eventually the mania starts to manifest as extreme OCD behavior. Drives me almost insane just to watch it. I imagine that she's driving herself insane just doing it, but can't stop, kind of thing, right? I mean, that's how it definitely feels for me sometimes. And I would I would not I have a fear of this kind of medication too. Like the medication they put you on for this kind of stuff is some pretty heavy duty stuff. So if I were to end up needing something like this, that would be quite a hurdle for me to get over. It would basically mean that I would need to get on medication that I don't want to be on. So shout out to your wife. She's the real hero dealing with this stuff. There is also bipolar 2, which is depression, but the manias are less extreme and more manageable. Interesting. Maybe that's, I could say maybe that's what I have about so many things, but I've got a lot of stuff. I tell you what. Yeah, Prozac's pretty heavy, I have to say. Barbara White says, my charming husband has a traumatic brain injury, diagnosed with PTSD and ADHD, and what you're describing sounds familiar to me. Good info for me to have. Interesting. It's very possible that I have PTSD as well, right? From which I've never been diagnosed with. I know this is a touchy subject. I don't want to offend anybody, but after what I've been through, it's very possible that I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I definitely have some traumatic stuff that it's post, right? It's in the past. And under stress, certain things don't go very well for me. So that would make sense to me. And maybe that's one of the reasons I'm struggling to deal with some stuff. Maybe that's something I should look at. And from that perspective, I can find success. Who knows? Because, I can do my inner work, my spiritual work. I can do my journaling. I can work through all of these emotions and these experiences in my heart all the live long day, every day, which I pretty much do. And there will still be work to be done. There will still be stones that remain unturned. And underneath them is some old trauma that I've forgotten about. So no, I feel like no matter how hard I work, which I feel like I need to be working hard on this stuff. Otherwise, I'm much worse. But I feel like no matter how hard I work, regardless, even though I need to be working, there's still work to be done. I feel like there's always going to be more trauma to work through. And some of it's new, but most of it's not. I feel like I'm working through the same old stuff. There's just more aspects, more faces. When these things happened, it must have shattered pieces of me into a million pieces because I keep finding more fragments of crap that I went through that I don't want to look at, but I really need to look at if I want to feel better moving forward, kind of thing, right? Yeah, this is a great point, B. Hendricks. If you're eating food or something for medicine, odds are it's going to taste pretty rough. From that perspective, you can get past it, right? Nothing that's good came easy, right? So if you're going to drink a shot that's going to make you feel like Superman, it's probably not going to taste good. 100%. I was going to say something. I decided not to. And I don't work through all that trauma by myself. Deaudre Gore says you can't work through all that trauma by yourself. I definitely have help. I tell you guys about it. I tell my dad. Sometimes I'll call my mom and tell her stuff, which is once in a blue moon, but I still do. Sometimes I'll even talk with my sister or my grandma about it, which is very interesting. Usually I don't tell so many people. Usually I have a couple that I talk to about stuff that's really close to the heart. But these days I tell a lot of folks. And I have to say, it feels liberating, not worrying or stressing about who knows what about me. It's very liberating and not stressful, letting go of those worries and fears and just being vulnerable and accepting who I am, what I've done, where I've been, where I'm at now, and where I'm attempting to go. This acceptance and this surrender have made my life manageable, where once it was not. And, it's not the easiest thing to do. I could tell you right now, like, hey, you should do these things. You should surrender and accept your plot. And, it's not the easiest thing to do. And I don't even know, maybe my circumstances have afforded me to do so in the manner that I have done. Who knows, right? I would like to say that acceptance and surrender are the answer, right? Surrendering to the way things are going to go, the way things have been, but also, accepting that I am who I am, and this is what I want to do. Just that inner peace that comes from not worrying about a bunch of stuff that I usually worry about, stuff that I have no control over, letting go of the things I don't have control over, has really been a boon in my life. But it's hard to counsel that because it's not a place you can just walk to. It's not a place you can just come up and be like, okay, I don't care about this stuff anymore. It's it's an inner journey of great magnitude. And I've tried to come here my whole life, and I'm finally at a place where I feel pretty comfortable not worrying about so much stuff, right? But through all the stuff that my dad's been through and all the strides that he's made, I feel like, well, I shouldn't even say that. Everyone struggles with this. I still struggle with it, right? You can't have perfect adherence even to the principles we set upon ourselves. I have looked into therapy. I've made no progress, though, Shannon. Nothing to report. Chrissy's cosplay says wait, that's not what I'm trying to read. Pardon me. Good to see you, Chrissy. B. Hendricks says the only surefire way to stay away from PTSD is to remain abstinent. The only cure is abstinence. No, we believe in harm reduction here, but you're probably right. If I experience trauma, odds are I'm going to get some post-traumatic stress, right? That makes a whole lot of sense to me. And, I think I would rather, it's one of my favorite quotes. I don't know who said it. I would rather love and lose than not live at all, right? I'd rather go out there and learn some lessons the hard way than not go out there at all. Staying in my box might feel comfortable for a while, for a time, but it eventually starts to feel like a prison when I don't go out and live my life. Chrissy's cosplay says, I have autism and ADHD. I still find it hard to accept. I still find it. I've known that I've had ADHD my whole life. And I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was like 9 or something like that. I still have a hard time swallowing these pills. And I don't mean physically because I'm not taking any medication, but it is a very hard thing to accept that I'm different. In fact, in order to accept it, sometimes I try and tell myself that, I'm not different, I'm special. I try and word it differently, right? Because I'm not lesser, right? We're not lesser because of what we have. We're just different. We definitely need to, we shouldn't assume that we're going to fit into the mainstream mold, right? What works for a lot of people may not work for us. And in this spirit, I have definitely fiercely sought my own path throughout life, which has served me very well at times, but it's a hard thing to do, right? Someone said earlier, you can't do this thing alone. And it's very hard to forge your own path and find your own way, find what serves you best all the time, because it is kind of a lonely road. You can have help, you can tell people about it, but at the end of the day, I'm the only one that's seeing the world through my eyes. So to find a path forward that's going to uniquely serve me properly is a solo endeavor for sure. Mary Taylor, be unique. Absolutely. And we're all, each and every one of us. I think equality is a construct used to control people, honestly, because we're not equal. We're different. We're literally different. Now, as far as like a person's worth, how could you even think about measuring that, right? I think it is wrong to say I'm better than you or you're better than me. I think that that's wrong. I don't think that we should be engaging in that kind of conversation. But to say that we're equal, I think is to take away the majesty and the beauty of what makes us human. What makes us different and special and unique is all of our differences, right? We might all be the human race. We're all humans, right? No matter our skin color, where we come from, or, what path we've walked to get here, right? What our career is, whatever. We're all human, but we all have our own unique weaknesses and strengths. We all have our own unique interests. Again, our own unique path that we've walked, right? I think to say that we're equal is to do us a disservice. Be unique, says Mary Taylor. I love this very much. I try to embrace what makes me special, what makes me unique more than anything. Because those are my gifts. Even my weaknesses are my gifts, right? What makes me unique may not all be good, but I can look at it that way because it's me and I love me. I love all that I am, all the goods and the bads. Brianna says it helps to remember that everybody has their own stuff that they struggle with. One of my favorite things to say is that if everything was right in their world, they wouldn't be acting like that, right? Because I believe everyone's doing their best. And everyone is struggling with something at some point in their life, right? So I try to give people the benefit of the doubt that way. And in this manner, I pray for my enemies because they probably need it. You know what I mean? And I don't wish them ill. I wish that they could find a way to be nicer. You know what I mean? Which probably involves, something going right in their world, which is not going right currently. So I like to think of things from that perspective. And it looks like you're way ahead of the game here, Brianna. I still feel a little sick. My nose is a little congested, and I feel like I have some drainage. It's weird. I feel nasally. Do I sound nasally? I'm almost out of cacao, y'all. I'm gonna have to get a new brick. Mocked says, you're just a human and a mess like all of us. Some people just are better trained to look put together. And I decided at a young age, I love this so much. I decided at a young age to not try to look put together. I don't need to fake it, right? What are appearances for? Maybe I want to get a job, right? And I want to look a certain way. Well, if I look a certain way that's actually not how I am, it's going to bite me in the butt later. So I started to really embrace authenticity, like even to the point, sometimes I call it terminal authenticity, even if it's gonna, even if it's not gonna serve me very well. I have to be authentic and organic. There's just no other way for me to go. I can't fake it. It's not in me. I've done a lot of it and it doesn't feel right. Nothing seems to go the way it should when I'm faking it either. If I'm just authentic and organic, what comes to pass might be a challenge, but at least I'm in my lane. At least I'm like somewhere where I can feel comfortable making moves. At least I'm not so far outside of my comfort zone that I'm trying to be something that I'm not to keep this going kind of thing. You know what I mean? I try not to look so put together. Although I do, I try not to come on the stream with clown hair. I definitely try to come on and look presentable at the very least. All my ducks in a row. I still love this name so much. My counselor says I have complex PTSD. It's where there are so many traumas built up. You might want to look into this. Interesting. I'm scared to go talk to one of the people that has the power to diagnose me, because what if they say I have X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G? It's like, dude, like I was better off not knowing that I had 11 things wrong with me, And again, this is just a fantasy that I'm extrapolating in my head that is serving to stop me from going to see these people. So I probably should stop that thought process right this second. But these are the kind of thoughts that I have, the kind of fears that I have. But it might do me well to go find out. I don't want to pay one of these people on a consistent basis. And maybe I can convince myself the value of that conversation regularly. But until I do, maybe going and getting diagnosed would be beneficial. But I don't want to go talk to someone and pay them for a conversation all the damn time. That really, really, for some reason, doesn't sit right with me. And I'm not talking down on therapists, because it is a huge boon. It is something that we talk about a lot on this channel, something that my dad will stand by till the day he dies, right? And I've had therapists. I've done the deal, but I have some very unique, strange ideas about therapists, about doctors, about dentists. And maybe they're not so strange and unique. Maybe they're just regular, normal fears. But I find it difficult. I think that we place monetary value on things in very strange ways sometimes. Like, I understand the value of having that conversation and having someone to, tell me what's going on with my mind and analyze, and, someone that's got a degree, someone that's educated. But I also, I work hard for my money and I don't have a lot of it. So to give a large chunk of it to someone that I'm just talking to, I feel like I could do that with myself. I could literally just talk with myself and come to a decent enough conclusion. And if that's not serving, I could have a free conversation with a million other people. And again, there's differences, right? But this is, I guess I'm trying to explain my struggles with going to a therapist, with going to a doctor. And I understand that there are a lot of situations where this is necessary, right? But I'm constantly trying to talk myself out of it. I'm constantly trying to convince myself that I don't need it, or it's a waste of money, or et cetera, et cetera. And the reason I'm expressing this is because I feel like I need to confess to you guys, because maybe I could benefit largely from talking to someone of this nature. Millie says, I used to be the same, Spanx, but you can't find the right tools when you don't know what the job is. Wow. That's so prolific, Millie. Thank you for telling me that. I probably need to hear it. And I do talk to you, I promise. There are no secrets between us, which is weird, right? If you ever want to know what's really going on in my life, watch my stream. You know, read between the lines a little bit. You'll have the whole story. Robin Miners, good to see you. Good morning. One of the best sermons I have ever heard went, we search for order, consistency, and predictability in a world where there is none. The mess is the norm. Absolutely. I agree. And if we accept this, it becomes much easier to navigate and it doesn't become such a task. Although, obviously it's still hard work. But accepting that this is the normal way of things, like this is like the chaos of life is the way it's going to be. It's just that's the way of the world. It really makes things a whole lot easier. I'm not fighting an uphill battle anymore. I'm just fighting the battle, period, without assigning some connotation to it. B. Hendricks says, I haven't had a haircut in 6 or 7 years or shaved. I'm about ready for a freshed up look for my tropical vacation. I've been feeling similar, although I've never had enough hair on my chin to make a point before. That's kind of weird. It's kind of inspiring. Like maybe I should keep growing it, but I definitely was pretty stoked about shaving it yesterday. If I'm stoked about shaving it tomorrow, I think I'll do it. Because I don't think it's the most presentable look. I'm definitely feeling the shaven vibes. It's been a while. I really want to shave my head too, but that's not going to happen. I promise. Beta, good morning. Good to see you. I read a book about adult children of alcoholics and liked this thought. You had to behave a certain way, develop certain mechanisms, because in the circumstances you were in, it was necessary to survive. Absolutely. The walls that I built at the time protected me, and they may or may not be serving anymore, right? In the current situation that I'm in now. So I most likely will need to tear down a lot of the walls that I put up when I was in the trauma, right? Because, they protected me at the time, but now they're only serving to limit me and steer me in the wrong direction because I'm not dealing with that trauma anymore, right? It's not my reality any longer. B. Hendricks digs the scraggles on my chinny chin. Well, I appreciate that. I also dig them. I just, I like change. Change is fun. That's why I like Halloween so much. I like dressing up and being something I'm not for a day. It's pretty cool. Brianna Miller says, therapy should honestly be free or at least less expensive. Can you imagine how much better the world would be? I mean, I definitely feel like so many thoughts come up right now. Like the way of the world being structured the way that it is. Thoughts that I can't give voice to all of, but I think it would be a better place if it was free. Although when you don't assign monetary value to something, a lot of people just value it less. If something's not worth money, then what is it worth? And that's what a lot of people will say. And I only bring that up to say that there is some interesting dichotomy, some relationship between monetary value and like perceived value. Because we do assign monetary value to things, right? Like it costs so much to produce this product, right? Or it takes this much time to do this job, but my time is worth this much, right? This kind of concept. So like it's not out of thin air, but it is a construct. It is something that we do with our brains. It is not something that's just inherent, right? You can't say that a life is worth some inherent monetary value, right? It just doesn't work that way. And everything happens to be like that. We assign value to some things, to a lot of things. Here's the thing, Spanx. I love it when sentences start like this, Tommy Bird. You remind me of my dad right now. I agree about money and value placed on things and conversations shouldn't cost. However, just having someone with nothing in it, just having to help you solve personal problems is a huge bonus. 100%. 100%. And I wish I am a little jealous of my dad's relationship with his therapist, because that's someone he can count on in the worst, darkest of days. There's no question if like a conversation with that person will be beneficial, right? In fact, on the darkest days, that's what he's dying to do. It's like he can't wait to have that conversation with that person, because it's going to rearrange stuff in his brain in a way that will make things more manageable, right? That is a huge boon. I can't say that I have someone like that. Well, I mean, I guess my dad kind of falls into that category. Just he's not a paid therapist, right? But I definitely sometimes call him, and it takes all of my stress away. But I can totally understand that being a huge benefit. And I'm a little jealous of my dad's ability to do so. So maybe maybe it is in my best interest to go ahead and figure that out. I Go by Faith says that book changed my life. Where's Oh, okay. We talked about already. Adult Children of Alcoholics. I am gonna have to go purchase that. I'm the Noise Opera. Good morning. Mock says, I decided that I don't care about a formal diagnosis at this point because I live well with it. But if I didn't, I totally would figure out what tools it takes, right? And that's honestly a conclusion that I come back to often. Life's good, so no, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's no need to shake up the jelly beans if the jelly beans are just fine. Here's the deal. Chrissy says, I want to be treated as normal, not someone that has autism. It's been so hard all my life to not be treated as a person I am. Well, I tell you what, embrace your uniqueness, right? Embrace who you are. The word autism, I think, and I'm just spitballing here, but I feel like that word it brings with it feelings for you, right? I don't have a relationship with the word autism. So, I mean, it does bring what it brings for me, but it brings something different to you. When I say that, I'm talking about connotation, right? So I don't think that that's a bad thing, Chrissy. I think that you might be viewing it in a negative light, maybe, possibly. And if you can shift that perspective to embracing, I'm autistic, right? Like it's a victorious thing. I think that would be a lot more comfortable mindset to be in, right? Because trying to be something you're not, or not be treated, trying to be something you're not is a terrible way to live, right? And if people treat you a certain kind of way, I think that it says a lot more about them than it does about you, right? That's how I feel. And I'm only trying to help, but I appreciate you sharing this perspective, this very personal, vulnerable perspective with us, Chrissy. It's my pleasure to meet you. And I hope to conversate with you more in the future. My headphones just made a noise that says they're dead. And it freaked me out for a second. I was like, what is that? Seventh Son, Steve-O, ahoy. What's going on, brother? Tashana, I think this title was made for me. Heck yeah. Are you neurospicy as well? We're talking about self-care and all kinds of other stuff, but the gist of today's show was that when I have ADHD and quite possibly some other stuff, maybe some PTSD, maybe some bipolar, who knows? But I've been diagnosed as ADHD since I was very little. And if I don't put the proper fuel in my tank, right? If I don't eat my proper nutrients, if I don't get the proper rest, if I don't get exercise and sun on my skin regularly, my brain doesn't work as well. The downfalls, the pitfalls of ADHD, the unique parts of my brain that work the way that they do become less manageable, right? So it is especially important for me to succeed. In order for me to succeed, it's especially important for me to do these things, this self-care, these super mundane, regular things that, happen in different capacities every day. If I'm not doing it properly, if I'm not self-caring super hard, I'm not a very effective human. And that's just what it is. It is what it is. So it's especially important for me to do all of these things. I should be 100% presentable and just immaculate and beautiful and perfect, because that would mean that I'm taking care of all of my self-care business, right? But you don't see me that way. You see me how you see me. I come as I am. So maybe we can get that under control. Maybe we'll get to see a visual difference as well. Who knows? Tampa B man, what's going on? Always a pleasure. Rana Kethla, greetings from cold Ireland. How cold is it up there today, huh? I've always wanted to visit. Here it rains a lot, and I do love the rain. Chrissy is your daughter. Oh, wow. We've heard a lot about you, Chrissy. We talk about you frequently, actually. Nothing bad. No bad things. All good things. I'm stoked to finally meet you. In the flesh. Well, not in the flesh, but in the digital flesh. Scooby Lee. Well, there won't be too much more. I'm on my way out. I'm closing thoughts right now for sure. Just reading. 10 plus degrees in the Wild West. You should come here. People are super nice. I bet. Islands are great. It's a pretty big island, but still, islands are great. I love water. Water's my friend. I know you probably don't get that impression because I'm so into fire, but I definitely, my first love was water as far as elements go. So glad to catch you, Spanx. Have a marvelous day. Well, you too, Tampa. I appreciate that. I love seeing you. It's usually like a white rabbit kind of sign. It's like, oh, today's going to be good. Tampa B-Man graced me with her presence. Shout out to you and your whole family, Tampa. I hope that this message finds you and yours well. If you like what we do here, please hit that like button, the subscribe, and maybe even the bell for notifications. It certainly makes a big difference for us. Catch my dad later on today. I believe Blessed to Crochet is going to be going live. You said 6:30 Eastern, huh? Today. Shout out to all the ripples, my pops. And, today's been this is a good show. Maybe tomorrow we'll do a related topic, something that we didn't get to talk about too much today. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But thanks for joining me today. This has been The Lifeboat with Captain Calhoun. Show yourself some grace today, right? Give yourself a little patience. And let's do some self-love, right? Some self-care. We'll see you tomorrow at the regular time. Captain Calhoun out. Oh, regular time. We're going to do 9 a.m. Pacific again tomorrow. It's been working well. If we can get what's the number? If we can get the number of people watching up a little bit, I think I'll stick with 9. Otherwise, I might have to keep switching it. So we'll catch me tomorrow at 9 Pacific. You guys have a wonderful day.